Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Joseph from Screenbite, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Corsair Dark Core RGB. Now this was a mouse that I was pretty excited about because I really wanted to have a good wireless competitor to Logitech's G903, and I thought this could be that mouse. However, it does have some drawbacks, but we'll get to that. First, let's start it off with the design. So starting on the right side of the mouse, this is actually interesting. It has interchangeable wings. Now I personally prefer the flared out version because it gives you something a little bit more to grip when you're trying to lift the mouse, but you can definitely swap between the two to find out which one works for you. Both are comfortable though. On the left side is my biggest gripe with the mouse, and that is the side buttons. They slope in a weird angle to where it's very hard to push, and that middle button for the third button is just way too easy to click with my normal grip style. Other than that big drawback, the shape is actually quite nice. This is a wonderful mouse if you're into palm gripping, and I would say it's actually more of a multimedia mouse than it is a gaming mouse. Like, I could definitely see myself doing a lot of like video editing and multitasking with this mouse just because it is very comfortable to use. But here's an example of swapping out those two wings here. So basically you just pop it off, it's magnetized, and then you can actually swap between the two. Now the interesting thing that I personally didn't think that I was going to love is that wing that flares out on the pinky side. It really gives you something to hold on to when you're moving the mouse around your desk, and it actually made it quite easy, at least in the grip style that I was using, which I found myself palming this mouse quite a bit to lift the mouse off the mat. It's actually quite nice. As for the materials used, as you can see, it has a very rubberized feel to it on the grips as well as the palm rest, and the rest is a soft touch plastic, so it's definitely easy to grip. However, it does add quite a lot of weight. 128 grams to be exact, so this mouse is definitely on the heavier side. It's also one of the larger mice that I've used in a while, which is why I can only seem to palm grip it. It's definitely not for small-handed users, so I would keep that in mind. For example, my hands, as always, are 19 centimeters by 10 centimeters wide for reference. Now this mouse is rocking a PMW 3367, so a pretty great optical sensor, as well as it has 2.4 gigahertz wireless, and there was absolutely zero lag when using this mouse in game, which was fantastic. You can also swap to a Bluetooth mode as well, if that's your thing. But now let's listen to these clicks. Now there is a slight rattle, and that is due to a very loose scroll wheel. I'm not sure if that's for all models or my model, but when you hold it down, the rattle's gone. As for the clicks themselves, they're defined and crisp, however they are a little bit spongy for my tastes. The scroll wheel I really don't like at all. Like I said, it's very loose on my unit, but the steps themselves are well defined. The side buttons, like I said before, have that weird divot, so it makes them very hard to press in, and that middle side button is definitely in the way wrong location. But other than that, the buttons are well made, and it does sound really good. Now from a performance perspective, that's where things get interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I would play games and I would have fantastic aim, and then I would play games and my aim would just be horribly off. It was very inconsistent, but as you can see from this pistol play here, it's not hard for such a large mouse. It actually tracks very well, if I say so myself. Now I'll definitely show you some quirks with this sensor implementation, at least like I said on my unit. I'm not sure if it's for all, but the way it works in mine, it's a little bit quirky, but when it is working, it works well. Diving in a little bit deeper, this is where the size and the weight really come into play here. I find it very, very hard to react with my muscle memory like I normally would on a lighter mouse. It could just take getting used to, but due to the size, I found it very hard to flick to where I needed to be, as well as to get those clutch shots that I needed in those clutch situations. Also, this happened, and this is really strange. So during my spin out test, where I fling my mouse back and forth as fast as I can, as you can see, it slowly starts to tilt down. I tried doing it multiple times to make sure that my hand wasn't accidentally dipping, and it wasn't, but the mouse just kept tilting down. So I don't know if maybe there's something wrong with the way the sensor's tracking, but I did want to note that. Interesting. Alright, so price. Now, the Corsair Dark Core RGB comes in at a whopping $80, which makes sense because it is a wireless mouse and it does have quite a few features on it. However, it does have some flaws as well as some quirks with the sensor implementation that I feel really need to be ironed out. And if they're ironed out with a firmware update in the future, then this could be a really nice mouse for people with larger hands. For me personally, I could totally see this, like I said earlier, as a multimedia mouse, doing things like video editing and mapping keys to certain things and stuff like that. But when it comes to gaming, for me at least, it's just way too big and too unwieldy and too heavy. And that's a couple of things that I really hope that Corsair looks into in the future, because they are capable of creating some very interesting and strong contending mice. I just feel like they might have lost their way a little bit, and they need to maybe focus on maybe coming out with something that's lighter, smaller, and just overall works. But if they can implement that wireless technology that they have into a mouse of that form factor, they could have a really good mouse on their hands. Before I close out, I do want to say, because this was a slightly more negative review than normal, I do want to say that overall, it is a decent performing mouse. I just feel like for the price, it's just a little weird, and I guess it's just not the mouse for me. However, it could be the mouse for you, so I would definitely recommend maybe taking a look at it, and maybe it is the mouse that you want to use. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this video, guys, so thank you once again for watching. As always, if you liked it, make sure to show it by hitting that like button down below. It really helps me out. As well as if you're new to the channel and you like the content, feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, feel free to ask it in the comment section down below. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Alright, got one.